You?
I'm a private investigator, and my job has taught me to read people by what they hide, not what they say. You learn to see the world in layers of truth and deception, to read people not by their words, but by their actions, and most importantly, by what they're desperately trying to conceal. My girlfriend Jessica of 3 years always complained that this made me too cynical, too suspicious, too quick to look for angles where none existed. She said my work was poisoning our relationship, making me incapable of simple trust. Turns out, I wasn't cynical enough. We lived together in my house, a place I'd bought and paid for with a decade of long nights, dangerous stakeouts, and assignments that most people couldn't stomach. Our relationship was, I thought, my one safe harbor from the brutal world I operated in daily. It was the one place I didn't have to look for the angle, the lie, the hidden motive lurking beneath surface smiles. We were partners in every sense, shared goals, shared life, shared dreams of a future together. I trusted her completely, gave her access to every part of my world, my finances, my vulnerabilities. In my line of work, trust is the highest currency, and I'd given her all of it without reservation. That was my first and most expensive mistake. The problem started, as these things often do, with what seemed like an innocent request. A 5-day girls' trip to Las Vegas with her 3 closest friends: Lauren, the twice-divorced ringleader who was perpetually on the hunt for her next sufferer; Becca, the mindless follower who mirrored Lauren's every opinion and mannerism; and Chloe, who was quiet and calculating, always watching, always listening, always seeming to catalog information for future use. I genuinely despised these women. They were loud, superficial, materialistic creatures who treated Jessica like their prized possession, their trophy friend who had somehow managed to land a stable, successful man. They constantly reminded her of her wild days before she met boring, stable, predictable me, filling her head with stories of adventures she was supposedly missing out on. A few days before the trip, I was helping her pack when I asked for her flight details and hotel name, just in case of emergencies. She turned to me with this strange, hard look in her eyes. "You don't need to know that," she said coldly. I was taken aback. I was genuinely trying to be helpful, supportive, the kind of boyfriend who cares about his girlfriend's safety without being controlling. "What do you mean?" I asked, completely caught off guard. "I just want to know where you are in case something happens. What if there's an emergency?" She crossed her arms defensively, and her voice took on this sharp, condescending tone I'd never heard before. "It's a girls' trip, Mark. The whole point is to get away from everything and everyone, including you. You don't need to know what happens on a girls' trip. You don't need to know where we're staying, what we're doing, or who we're with. That's why you're blocked from my phone until I'm home. Complete radio silence." Blocked. The word hit me like a physical blow. She wasn't asking for privacy or space. She was declaring a complete 5-day communications blackout, drawing a clear, unmistakable line between her life and our shared life. This wasn't about girls having fun. This was about deliberately excluding me from any knowledge of her activities. In my profession, when someone goes to such extreme lengths to hide their actions, it's never because those actions are innocent. But I didn't react. I didn't yell, didn't argue, didn't demand explanations. My training kicked in immediately. In my profession, when someone shows you a wall, you don't waste energy trying to break it down. You find a way around it. You use their defensive measures against them. The transformation in my mind was instantaneous and complete. My mind, trained through years of surveillance and investigation to see every angle and analyze every inconsistency, immediately shifted into full professional mode. The loving, trusting boyfriend who had been helping his girlfriend pack for a fun trip with her friends simply ceased to exist. The investigator, cold and methodical and relentlessly thorough, had just clocked in for what would become the most personally satisfying case of my career. "Okay," I said, voice perfectly calm. "I understand. Have a great time." Her confident, defiant expression faltered for just a moment, replaced by a flicker of genuine confusion and maybe even disappointment. She'd expected a fight. Hell, she'd wanted one. She'd probably rehearsed this entire confrontation in her head, prepared for arguments about trust and communication and respect. A fight would have made her feel completely justified in whatever she was planning to do. My calm, easy agreement left her with absolutely nothing to push against, no righteous anger to fuel her upcoming deception. The next morning, I drove her to the airport like nothing had changed. She was practically glowing with excitement, chattering about spa treatments and shows and shopping, already mentally 1,000 miles away from me and our life together. As she grabbed her suitcase from the trunk, she leaned in to kiss me goodbye, and I could see the relief in her eyes. Relief that I hadn't made things difficult, that I was being the understanding boyfriend she needed me to be. "Don't miss me too much," she said with that playful wink that used to make my heart skip. "I promise I'll call you the moment I land to let you know I'm unblocking you. 5 days will fly by." "I won't," I replied. She laughed, thinking I was joking. I watched her walk into the terminal, dragging her suitcase behind her. Then I drove straight to my office. The investigation had already begun. She thought she was entering a carefully planned 5-day blackout where she could do whatever she wanted without consequences or oversight. What she had no idea of was that I was about to flood her entire world with the brightest, most unforgiving light imaginable. Every lie would be exposed, every deception unraveled, every secret dragged into the open for everyone to see. The first thing I did was run the license plate of the car that had picked up her friends that morning. Lauren, true to her narcissistic nature, had posted a picture on social media of all 4 of them posed in front of her house, suitcases at their feet, huge smiles ready for their big adventure. But in the background of that carefully staged photo was a high-end SUV, sleek, expensive, definitely not the kind of vehicle any of these women could afford. The plate came back registered to one Adam Cole, senior partner at a major investment firm, married father of 2 young children, and definitely not someone Jessica had ever mentioned knowing. Interesting. Jessica had told me they were flying budget airline. A little digging into flight manifests told a different story. There were no tickets under any of their names on commercial flights that day. But there was a private jet, owned by Adam Cole's firm, that had filed a flight plan from our city to Vegas that morning. The blocking wasn't an obstacle. It was confirmation of deception. It gave me freedom to operate without having to maintain the facade of the trusting boyfriend. Her friends weren't careful. They were arrogant. Becca had a public social media profile and was a fountain of information, posting a steady stream of pictures and videos throughout the week. They were all carefully framed to look like a girls' trip. Cocktails by the pool, dancing at nightclubs, selfies at casinos, but amateurs always make mistakes. In the reflection of Becca's sunglasses in one selfie, I could see the clear outline of a man sitting across from them at a cabana. In a nightclub video background, I saw Lauren laughing and leaning intimately into a man who definitely wasn't her ex-husband. The biggest mistake was a photo Chloe posted, a group shot at a fancy dinner. In the background was a distinctive piece of art, a large, abstract painting. A reverse image search took me 5 minutes. The painting hung in the private dining room of one of the most exclusive high-roller suites in the Bellagio, a suite not available to the general public, reserved for the casino's biggest clients. I made some calls. A friend in casino security confirmed it. The suite was registered to Adam Cole. He was there for the week hosting business clients, and his guests included 4 women. My girlfriend Jessica was one of them. This wasn't a girls' trip. It was a paid party. She wasn't on vacation with friends. She was an accessory for a wealthy married man and his business associates. The final piece was the most painful. In one of Becca's videos, I saw Jessica talking to a man in the background. I couldn't see his face clearly, but something was familiar. I isolated the audio, cleaned it up, and ran it through voice analysis. The voice belonged to Scott, her ex-fiancé, the man she claimed to despise, who had supposedly cheated on her and broken her heart. He was one of Adam Cole's clients. The entire thing was a complex, layered, deeply insulting lie. She hadn't just gone on a trip without me. She'd gone to be with another man, funded by a different man, all while pretending to be with her friends. My course of action was clear. This wasn't a situation requiring conversation. It required consequences. Public, undeniable, life-altering consequences. I started with Adam Cole's wife, Catherine, a respected pediatrician and mother who seemed to have no idea what her husband was doing on business trips. I compiled a digital file containing the flight plan, hotel suite registration, and social media photos showing her husband with Lauren. I sent it to a reputable divorce attorney with an anonymous note. "You might want to show this to your client, Catherine Cole. Her husband's business trips are more eventful than she knows." Next, I dealt with Scott. He was a real estate developer in the middle of messy business disputes with former partners. I sent an anonymous tip to an investigative journalist friend about a developer who funds lavish Vegas lifestyle with other people's money, including details about Scott's shady business dealings. Finally, I prepared for Jessica's return. She was due Sunday afternoon and had texted from a friend's phone. "Having so much fun. Can't wait to see you. Pick me up at 3 p.m. Sunday. I'll unblock you when I'm on the plane." I replied with a simple, "Okay." She was expecting me. expecting a hug, kiss, and quiet drive home where she'd tell carefully edited stories about her trip. She had no idea what was actually waiting for her. I found the one person who had more right to be at that airport than I did. It took 2 days of work, but I found Emily, Scott's live-in girlfriend, a school teacher who had no idea her boyfriend was in Vegas. He'd told her he was at a wellness retreat in Arizona with no cell service. I called her. It was the hardest call I'd ever made. I told her who I was and what I'd found, sending her the evidence, audio files, pictures, hotel information. She was silent, then started crying. But after tears came cold, hard anger that matched my own. I told her about Jessica's flight and made a proposition. She's expecting me to be there, but I think you're the one she should see first. Emily agreed, without hesitation. Sunday afternoon, I wasn't at the airport. I was home, monitoring through a live feed from a security contractor, posing as a limo driver. Jessica's flight landed on time. I watched as she and her friends walked out, tanned, laughing, loaded with shopping bags. Jessica was on her phone, probably texting me, expecting me at the curb. Emily stood calm and composed in arrivals, holding a large, professionally printed poster, a crystal-clear, high-resolution photo from my casino contact showing Jessica and Scott sitting together at a blackjack table, his arm draped around her. Jessica saw Emily first. Her smile froze. Her face went pale. She stopped dead. Her friends, still chattering, bumped into her and followed her gaze to Emily and the poster. The laughter died. Jessica tried to recover, started walking away, pretending she didn't know Emily. But Emily was prepared. She stepped forward, voice clear and steady, loud enough for everyone to hear. Scott sends his apologies. He couldn't be here to welcome you home himself. He's a little busy explaining this picture to me. Jessica's friends looked at her with shock and dawning horror. They'd been part of the lie and were now caught in the blast radius. At that exact moment, a man in a crisp suit stepped forward. A process server I'd hired. Jessica Miller? He asked professionally and loudly. She nodded, completely stunned. You've been served, he said, handing her a thick legal envelope containing a formal eviction notice giving her 30 days to remove belongings from my property, plus a restraining order preventing contact or coming within 500 feet of my house or business. The combination of public humiliation and legal documents was too much. Jessica crumpled, dropped her bags, covered her face, and started sobbing. Her friends didn't comfort her. They grabbed their bags and scattered like rats from a sinking ship, wanting no part of the mess they'd helped create. The beautiful, confident woman who'd blocked me 5 days earlier was now sitting on the airport floor, surrounded by expensive shopping bags, completely and utterly alone. The fallout was swift and comprehensive. Adam Cole's wife, Catherine, didn't waste time. She filed for divorce the next day. She liquidated significant joint assets into a trust for her children, which her prenup allowed in cases of infidelity. Adam faced a messy, expensive public divorce, and his firm reviewed his position since the scandal wasn't good for their family-oriented image. Scott's troubles deepened when the journalist ran the story about his shady business dealings. His partners sued him. His reputation was in tatters, and he faced potential criminal charges. Emily left him and, with my help, prepared legal action for financial damages. Jessica's life became a smoking crater. No boyfriend, no home, friends abandoned her. She had to call her parents to pick her up from the airport and moved into their spare bedroom, a 30-year-old woman whose entire life had reset to zero. She tried contacting me through burner phones and new email accounts. I never responded. My lawyer sent cease and desist letters reminding her of the restraining order. Her friends also tried reaching out with pathetic damage control attempts, claiming they had no idea what was really going on. I didn't respond to them either. They were irrelevant. I spent the week after her return systematically erasing her from my life. A professional moving company packed her belongings and delivered them to her parents' address. I changed my phone number and scrubbed my social media. To her and her world, I became a ghost. She thought she was playing a game, that she could have it all. The stability I provided and the thrill of a secret life. She didn't understand that in my world, there are no games. There are only facts, evidence, and consequences. She gave me a 5-day blackout. I gave her a lifetime of it. 6 months later, the dust had settled. After the initial satisfaction of revenge wore off, I was left with emptiness. I'd won, but victory felt hollow. I'd spent so much time looking for deception that I'd forgotten how to look for good. The person who helped me change that was Emily. We stayed in touch after the airport incident. 2 people betrayed by the same lie, finding comfort in shared experience. Coffee became dinner. We talked about jobs, families, dreams, everything except what happened. I discovered a woman who was kind, funny, and incredibly strong. We're dating now. Slow, careful, built on absolute honesty. It's the realest thing in my life. The others found their fitting conclusions. Adam's brutal divorce cost him everything: house, fortune, firm position. His reputation was destroyed. Lauren became a social outcast, seen as a liability by the wealthy men she used to associate with. Scott's legal troubles only deepened with official investigations, multiple lawsuits, and potential criminal charges. Jessica's story is the quietest and saddest. After months with her parents, she got a new job and moved to a small apartment, starting over alone. Her friends never came back. Her reputation never recovered. 2 months ago, I received one final communication, a letter forwarded by my lawyer. It was a long, handwritten apology. She didn't make excuses or ask for second chances, just owned it. She wrote that the airport humiliation was the worst day of her life, but also when she finally saw herself clearly, someone who valued others' attention more than one person's love. She was in therapy, hoping to become someone she could be proud of. She ended saying she didn't expect forgiveness, but was truly sorry for the pain she'd caused. Reading it, I felt closure instead of anger. Her apology seemed genuine, but some things, once broken, cannot be repaired. My revenge wasn't just about exposing lies. It was forcing people living in illusion to face undeniable truth. The airport was their stage, and they were all forced to remove their masks. What was left wasn't pretty. I don't think about them anymore. My life is full. I have a partner I trust, a business I'm proud of, and peace I hadn't felt in years. I still see the world in layers, but now I'm better at seeing good along with bad. Jessica thought she could block me out for 5 days. She didn't realize that in doing so, she was giving me space to build a new firewall protecting my life from her chaos forever. Behind that wall, everything is quiet, safe, and real.